Welcome back to another episode of Crackling Rosie True Crime. Today we will be taking a look at the questioning of David Berkowitz by the district attorney's offices. So he was arrested on August 10th. Late into that evening, which would have been August 11th, he was questioned at police headquarters at One Police Plaza in New York. And in that room, there were various members of law enforcement. There was also representation from the DA's office from Queens County, Kings County, and Bronx County. Today we're going to take a look at the Brooklyn portion, which is about the first 33 to 34 pages of this 110-page transcription. Representing Kings County District Attorney's Office was ADA Ronald Aiello. Let's get started. We will bring a copy of the transcription over, and there it is. I will be going through the most important parts of it. There are some sections which we may skip over. Also, if you want to look at these documents, they are in the new Queens DA data dump under arrest records, and there is a PDF in there that I believe is 110 pages and goes through, it's the entire transcription from this questioning. Okay. So the questioning began at 3:28 in the morning, so kind of get a little visual for that. As I mentioned earlier, there were various members of law enforcement who were present. There was law enforcement from all three counties, as well as representation from the district attorney's office. So Aiello starts off the questioning. I'm going to kind of go through. I will read some of it, and then some of it I will skip over if I don't feel that it's important. So Aiello asks, question, what is your name? David replies, David Berkowitz. Where do you live, David? 35 Pine Street, Yonkers, New York. How old are you, David? 24. David, my name is Ronald Aiello. I'm an assistant district attorney with the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office. I'd like to speak to you about an incident that took place on July 31st, 1977 at about 2:45 a.m. over in the Bensonhurst section of Brooklyn, Bay 16th Street and Shore Parkway. Before I ask you any questions, David, about that incident, I'd like to advise you of your constitutional rights. So here he's going to read him the Miranda rights, and of course he's talking about the Moskowitz Violante shooting. I'm going to skip over the Miranda rights. Berkowitz answers yes to everything. Yes, yes, yes. After advising you of your constitutional rights, do you wish to speak to me at this time? Berkowitz says yes. Okay. David, on July 31st, 1977, where were you living at that time? The Pine Street address. That's up in Yonkers? Yes. Who are you living with? Myself. What kind of premises is that? Is that an apartment house or a private house? Apartment house. What apartment were you living in at that time? 7E. How long had you been living there? A little over a year. Do you live with anyone, David? No. Now, specifically referring to that day, would you tell me where you were during the day and the early evening hours? Now, this is really interesting, guys. This is something I didn't know and kind of freaked me out, and I'll tell you why when we get to that part. David answers, early evening, I went out to eat downtown. Do you recall what restaurant you went to that day, David? It was a diner on 10th Avenue and 31st Street. In Manhattan? Yes. What did you do after you ate, David? I went over to Long Island, Brooklyn. Well, Long Island is not part of Brooklyn, but he answered Long Island, Brooklyn. Maybe like Long Island, Brooklyn. Maybe like that. I think that was what he meant. Do you drive a car? Yes. What kind of car? 1970 Ford Galaxy. What color is it? Yellow. How long have you had that car? About 3 years. Is the car completely yellow? No, a black vinyl roof. Like a vinyl top? Yeah. Is that a 2-door or a 4-door? 4-door. Were you using that car on the 31st? Yes, I was. Actually, on the 30th, a Saturday. Yes. Were you with anyone or were you alone when you were having your dinner at 10th Avenue? I was alone. Where did you go from there? Out to Long Island? Yes, Long Island, Brooklyn. Did you have any purpose in going out on Long Island just to take a ride? Purposely going out killing somebody. Did you have anybody in mind at that time or anyone you might come across? Whoever would just come around when I was told who to get. Who told you who to get? Sam Carr. Who is Sam Carr? My master. Where does Sam live? In Yonkers. Is Sam the father of Wheat Carr? Yes. How long have you known Sam approximately? Probably, well, as Sam I'd say just a little over a year and a half. Is that his actual name, Sam Carr? That's the name he goes by, yes. Did you have any discussion with Sam that particular day about finding someone to kill? I just had my orders. Do you want to tell me how you get those orders? Yes, he told me through his dog, as he usually does. It's not really a dog. It looks like a dog. It's not. He just gave me an idea where to go. When I got the word, I didn't know who I would go out to kill, but I would know when I saw the right person. Did you have a location in mind, David? Let's say the area I was in, Bensonhurst. Just driving around, looking, waiting. You say you went out to Long Island first. Do you recall where exactly you went out there? I'd say out to at about Huntington and back. About what time did you reach Bensonhurst section, do you recall? 2 o'clock. No. Yeah, 2 o'clock. About 2 o'clock. Did you come back on the Belt Parkway from Long Island? Part of the way, yes. Did you go exactly to Bensonhurst because that's where you wanted to go to see if you can find someone? Let's see. I came out almost by Howard Beach and across a lot of side streets there. Did you go looking around Howard Beach? Yes. What happened? There was no one there. Are you familiar with Howard Beach? To an extent. I know some basic roads. I went through there to Canarsie. I'm trying to remember what avenue in Canarsie. The area avenue that I came on, and then I came to Bensonhurst. You went looking through Canarsie too? Yes. You didn't find anyone and came to Bensonhurst? Yes. What time did you approximately arrive in Bensonhurst? He asked him again. About 2 a.m. When you arrived, what did you do? I parked my car. Where did you park? On Bay 17 between Shore Parkway and Cropsey Avenue. Are you familiar with that neighborhood? I've been there before. On what occasion were you there? Were you there recently? I'd say the past week. Prior to going there that night, you were there? Yes. What brought you there on that occasion? I had to go and kill somebody. What can I tell you? So you got there about 2 o'clock and parked your car on Bay 17th Street. Do you recall where you parked your car exactly on the block? up by a fire hydrant, midway between Cropsey and Bayshore Parkway. Did you realize that you parked your car by a fire hydrant? I saw the police give me a summons. How did you see that? I was walking away. I saw a police car coming up Shore Parkway, and I turned on Bay 17th going up that street. I had a feeling they would go by my car. In other words, you were out of your car at that time. Yes. Where were you walking toward what? Shore Parkway and Bay 17th. You were looking up the block? Yes. I saw the policeman give me a summons. Then they went slowly up the block near Cropsey Avenue and pulled over again. I watched for about 10 minutes. They got out of the car. I don't know what they were doing, but I went back to my car. There was a ticket on it. What were you wearing that night? Blue denim jacket, blue dungarees. The ones you're wearing now? I don't remember. And these walking shoes, these working shoes, the brown working shoes. Yes. Mr. Aiello. Let the record indicate that Mr. Berkowitz is wearing a brown pair of working shoes. Do you describe that like that? Do you describe them like that, David? Mr. Berkowitz. Yes. What did you have under your denim jacket? A light brown shirt. When you went back to the car and you noticed the ticket on the car, did you take the ticket off the windshield? Yes. What did you do with it? Put it inside the car. Tell me what you did from there. I was still walking around the area, went back to the park, sat down for a while. You're talking about the park on Shore Parkway? Yeah. When you went into the park, were other people around? Yes. There were a lot of young people on the dead-end street. I don't know what street. It was to the entrance of the park. They were hanging around their cars. They left after a while. Where were you sitting on the bench? Sitting on the bench? Did you have a weapon on you at that time? Yes. What weapon? 44 Bulldog. Was it loaded? Yes. How many bullets were in the gun? 5. Then what did you do, David? I saw that couple, Stacy Moskowitz and her boyfriend. They were by the swings. They went back into the car. I don't know how much time elapsed, maybe 10 minutes or so. I walked up to their car. Did you see where this car was parked? Yes. Where was it parked? Bayshore Parkway, opposite that dead-end street. Was their car parked right at the exit of the park? In other words, if you came out of the exit of the parkway, was the park right there? Yes, a short distance in front. Did you see a couple in that car? Yes, a couple. Was there other cars parked, or did other cars come eventually? Eventually. You say you saw the Stacy Moskowitz car and then you saw one up in front of them. No, the one in the front was there before. Then Stacy Moskowitz came afterwards? Yes. Did you see them get out of the car? No, I was too far down in the park. I saw them walking. I saw a couple by the swings. I didn't know it was them. I saw them go back to the car. Then what did you do? I don't know. I waited for a time. I don't know how much time elapsed. I just went up to the car. I just walked up to it, pulled out the gun, and put it, I stood a couple of feet from the window. Were the windows opened or closed? Yes, open, and I fired. Who was seated in the passenger seat? Miss Moskowitz. You subsequently learned her name. At that time, you didn't know the people? I didn't know them. How many times did you fire your weapon? 4 times. Is there any particular reason why you fired only 4 times? No, I didn't see the need to fire 5 times. Did you leave one in the chamber for any particular reason? Just, no, conserve ammunition. Did you have any additional ammunition on you in your pockets? Yes, I had approximately a dozen rounds. You had them in your pocket? In my front pocket. In the denim jacket or the slacks? The slacks. When you fired your gun, were you aiming at Stacy in particular, or did you just fire into the car? The first shot I know, I aimed at Stacy's head. After that, I just fired into the car. About how far would you say you were from Stacy when you pulled off the first round? About 4 or 5 feet. Did you realize you hit her? No, she didn't move or anything. As I remember it, she just, I don't know if the bullet was by her or not. You couldn't tell. She just went back like she sort of flinched. You squeezed the other rounds? I just sprayed the inside. Did you see anybody in the driver's seat? Yes. Did you shoot in his direction? Yes, I did. Who are you trying to shoot? Her, him, or both? Both. You were not in particular after the girl, or were you? Well, I wanted her more than anything. I don't know why I shot the guy. Then what did you do, David? I turned around and I ran out of the park through those townhouses. You say you ran through the park? You came out of the park eventually? Yes. Did you go out and exit or a hole in the fence? There was a hole in the fence. What did you do? Did you go back to your car? Yes, I did. Then what happened? I just got in my car and drove away in a northerly direction. You say you had your car parked on Bay 17th Street, right, David? Yes. Is that a 1 or 2-way street? 1 way. It's 1 way? Yes. You would be facing in a northerly direction where your car was parked? Right. Tell me, if you can, what route you took out of that area. All I remember is I went up a couple of blocks to about 18th Avenue. 18th Avenue was the street that I took almost as far north as it would go. Did you make a turn on Cropsey? I don't know if it was Cropsey or a couple of streets after that. You made a right turn? Yes, it would have to be a right. Then you went down 18th Avenue? Yes. Do you know if it was 18th Avenue? Are you familiar with that area? No, it was just a big street. I saw it went pretty far. Do you really what turn you made? Do you really know what turn you made, right or left? Left, heading north. I don't remember what the cross street was. I went through Flatbush. All right, but you made a left on 18th Avenue? Yes, in a northerly direction. Now, how far did you drive down 18th Avenue? Just about to where it ended. I think then I took some cross streets. I don't know exactly which streets they were. Eastern Parkway? Where were you going? Were you going any place in particular? No. Just around? I got to a point where I was able to traverse Brooklyn and head toward the water, the East River. There was a park. I don't remember. I think it was Sunset Park. Yes, there is a Sunset Park. I came through that way all round through 5th Avenue. I went through another park. I parked my car. This was 4:30 in the morning. There was a park there. I went out, I found a bench, and just sat on the bench. Did you take the gun with you? No, the gun was left in the car. Then what did you do after you were sitting on the bench for a while? In the morning, I already had the Sunday newspaper. I read the news on the bench, went back to the car, drove again through Brooklyn. This was about 8 o'clock in the morning. By 9 o'clock, I crossed the Williamsburg Bridge going into Manhattan. You were still on the road as late as 9 o'clock in the morning? Yes. Did you arrive eventually at 35 Pine Street? Yes. About what time did you get there, David? 10:30. Getting back to the actual incident, the shooting, as you shot into the car 4 times? Yes. Did you notice whether the man in the car or the young man in the car had been struck by your bullets? He cried out in pain. Did you eventually learn what his name was? Yes. What is that? Robert Violante. Did you take any particular posture or position when you fired the gun? The normal shooting stance required. I guess you call it the crouch position. Did you take that crouched position? Yes, I did. As far as aiming the weapon, did you take any particular stance in aiming the weapon? Were you holding the weapon in one hand or two? 2 hands, out in front of my body. Did you learn that firing stance somewhere? No, I just picked it up. Were you in the military? Yes, I was. When was that, David? June 71 to June 74. Where were you stationed? I was in Korea, Fort Knox, Kentucky. You were discharged in 74? Yes. You received an honorable discharge? Yes. Directing your attention to this evening, David, where were you earlier in the evening? I was in front of 35 Pine Street. About what time did you come out of the house at that night? About 9 o'clock. Where were you going? Any place in particular? I was just going out to go get a paper and get something to eat. What, if anything, happened at that time when you came out of the house? The police were there as I started my car. They just came up from behind with the guns out, and that was it. Did you have the .44 caliber gun with you at that time? Yes, I did. I always take that out at night. Even if you're not going on quest, so to speak, you still take the gun with you? Right. Where did you have the gun tonight? In a paper bag, along with some extra bullets and things on the front seat in the car. Is that the gun you used to shoot Stacy Moskowitz and injure Robert Violante? Yes. What did you do with the gun with the police there? Did you take it out? No, I just left it on the front seat. Did there come a time later on that you gave the police officers permission to seize the gun? Yes. Tell us about that. Well, I left the gun in the car, you know. They took me out and frisked me. I didn't have the gun on me. It was on the front seat. I drove off in the police car, and the gun was still there. I guess they went back and got it. David, was the .44 caliber gun by itself, or was it contained in something? A plastic bag. Was there anything else in back besides the gun? No. Was there any hat in the car that you recall? A watch cap. Do you recall what color that was? Brown. Where was that? Do you remember what part of the car that was? That was inside a paper bag. What else was in the car besides that? A .44 caliber rifle. A .44 rifle? Right. Was that contained in anything, or was it by itself in the car? In the duffel bag. David, I'd like to show you right now a brown military duffel bag. Is that the duffel bag the 45 caliber rifle was contained in? Yes. Where was that in the car? In the back seat. On the top of the back seat? Yes. So Mr. Aiello says, if you would, Detective Zigo, open the bag so David could see what's contained in that. Do you see a 45 caliber rifle gun that's in there? Mr. Berkowitz, yes. Is that the same gun that was in there? Yes. Is that your gun? Yes. Was there anything else in the duffel bag besides the gun itself? Several 30-round clips. So again, Aiello has Detective Zigo, or Zygo, I think it's Zigo, pull out. He confirms that that's what it is. Okay. David, Detective Zigo is holding a clip of ammunition. Does that belong to you? Yes. Was it in the duffel bag? Yes. Is it correct to say that there were 5 other similar clips in the duffel bag? I suppose. I don't know how many. There are a number of others. Yes. They all belong to you? Yes. I'd also like you to look at another duffel bag here. There is another duffel bag here. Do you recognize that? Yes. Where do you recognize that from? My apartment. Is that your duffel bag? Yes. What was in the duffel bag when you last saw it in the house? I don't know. It was in the closet. Did you have any other weapons in the house, David? Yes. What kind of weapons? A 12-gauge shotgun and a 22 caliber rifle. Now, Detective Zigo is holding a weapon right now. Can you see it? Yes. Is that the weapon? Yes. What kind of weapon is that? 12-gauge shotgun. It belongs to you? Yes. You spoke about a 22 caliber rifle. Do you see it? Yes. Where is that? It was in my apartment. Was that fully assembled or disassembled? Disassembled. Had you disassembled it? Yes. Are the pieces of the rifle in the bag? Yes. Okay. David, you saw Detective Zigo take out of the duffel bag various parts of a 22 caliber rifle. Do those look familiar to you? Right. Is that your rifle? Yes. David, was there anything else in the car that you can recall? I think I had a towel in the back and some water. We're talking about anything else in the car. There was a towel and some water. How was that contained? In a glass jar. Just a regular glass? Yeah. Do you recall anything else being in the car, such as a letter? Yeah, that was in the glove compartment. I had that letter in the car. Yes, in the glove compartment. What kind of letter was that? It was a letter. It's hard to describe. Who is it addressed to, David, if anyone? Suffolk County Police and Inspector Dodd. David, I'm going to hand you a letter that's contained in a plastic bag and ask you just to look on the outside and the printing on the front of it. Is that the letter you're referring to? Yes. When had you written that letter? It would be last Saturday, this past Saturday. Basically, David, you want to tell me what's in the letter that you can recall, just basically? It was a letter to I can't explain it really. Okay, but whatever the contents are of the letter, you wrote it, correct? Yes. David, referring specifically to the 44 caliber gun, where did you get that weapon? Houston, Texas. When did you get that weapon? I'd say like May or June 1976. Did you go to Houston for any particular reason to buy the gun? No, well, I had to get a gun, for my job. What job did you have at the time? It was the job I was going to have, killing people. I see. You mean your new occupation? Right. So you decided to go to Houston, Texas. Did you have a friend there or something? I had an army buddy that I promised a long time ago I was going to visit. You had him buy the gun? Yes, it was a legal purchase. Do you have a receipt for that? I might still have it in the house. How much did you pay for the gun? About 130, I would say. Now, the 45 caliber machine gun that you identified before as being yours, where did you get that? In a gun store in Brooklyn, New York. When was that, David? Do you recall? Almost 2 years ago. Why did you buy that weapon? I needed an effective weapon. Did you ever use that weapon to shoot anybody? The 45 caliber gun? Yes, in Yonkers. In Yonkers? Yes. When was that? I don't remember the date. Did you hit anybody? Yes, I did. Who did you hit? An elderly woman. Did you kill her? No, I did not. Do you know that for a fact that she didn't die? Yes. She's recovered as far as you know? Yes. Is that the only time you used that weapon in that manner to shoot somebody that one time in Yonkers? Yes. The disassembled rifle that you also identified as being yours, did you use that to kill anybody? No, I did not. Where did you get the 44 caliber ammunition? In the store in Texas. How many rounds did you buy? 2 boxes, that would be about 100 rounds. How many rounds are you left with? I haven't counted. 10, 15, more than that. Over 50. Where were you keeping the rounds of ammunition that were left, the 44 caliber ammunition? I had some in my room. I moved them around. I don't recall. Will you excuse me a second, David? David, at this time, there's another assistant DA that is present from the Bronx, and his name is Bill Quinn. That's a Mr. Quinn sitting right there. At this time, he's going to take over the questioning and ask you some questions. So that's the Brooklyn portion with Ronald Aiello. So a few things there. He's still talking. Remember, let's go back. A lot of us are all diving into this Queens DA dump. A lot of the stuff that we've been listening to is after the fact, like 2 years after the fact, especially some of the recorded interviews with witnesses, friends, all that. This is that evening. He's arrested on the 10th. It's the 11th because it starts at like 3:30 in the morning or whatever it said, 3:45. This goes on all through the night. He talks to Aiello, and then he talks to the Bronx DA, and he talks to the Queens Assistant District Attorney. So all night they're questioning him. So this is right after. So he's still saying that he's getting orders from Sam Carr. That was, well, we knew that story, but if that gets confusing in your mind, like, was it Sam Carr? Well, he said it was, a hoax, but this is the night of the lady, the elderly woman shot in Yonkers. If anyone has any information on that, I'd love it if you'd share. He said he lived, but he don't remember the date. Was it a lie? I don't know. I mean, the mind that is Berkowitz. You don't know the lies, the truth, anything. But I found that very interesting. That was something I was discussing with a community member earlier. He picked up on that right away. I kind of glanced over it and assumed it was a lie from Berkowitz, but he started bringing up some other points of things that went on in Yonkers in Westchester County. We won't get into that tonight, but that's just an interesting piece of information from the transcription. So that was it for the Brooklyn portion. What I had found really eerie that I told you I'd talk about earlier was, so he starts off in Long Island, and if you're familiar with Brooklyn, maybe you're not. We're here on Long Island. He's creeping back into Brooklyn, Howard Beach, and we're pretty much all along the coastline here. And then he's going through Canarsie. That's my old neck of the woods. He's roaming around there. So he didn't find anyone in Long Island, didn't find anyone in Howard Beach, didn't find anyone lurking in Canarsie, and he makes his way to Bensonhurst. And that's it. But I found that creepy. I didn't realize that he was lurking through from Long Island all through the borough of Brooklyn before he made his way to the Bath Beach section of Brooklyn, the Bensonhurst section. So anyway, I think we're going to leave it here. I just wanted to share that with you. We will talk over the other two portions of this transcription. I hope that you found that interesting, and I hope that we've had good dialogue and chat. Of course, this is Premiere, and I'm yapping away with you in chat. I hope we've had good dialogue, and I hope you enjoy the presentation. Thank you so much. Until the next one.